People love to worry. Oh, they're experts at it. It's like a little game they play with themselves, looping the same thoughts over and over, like a broken record that just won't stop. What if this goes wrong? What if that never happens? What if everything falls apart? Ah, the great what ifs. It's funny, really, because half the things they worry about never even happen. But does that stop them? Oh, no, no, no. They keep going. People love to think that if they just worry enough, somehow, some way, things will magically fix themselves. Like worry is some kind of currency, and the more they spend, the faster their problems disappear. Oh, it's adorable. Watching them sit there, pacing, overthinking, chewing on their fingernails like the world's about to end. And for what? A little sense of control, a false belief that if they stress hard enough, if they lose enough sleep, maybe, just maybe, they can stop the bad things from happening. Oh, if only it worked like that. But here's the thing. Worry doesn't actually do anything. It's just a little mind trick, a cheap magic show with no real payoff. It doesn't stop disasters, doesn't change outcomes, doesn't make life play fair. It just eats away at people bit by bit, day by day, until they've wasted hours, days, years obsessing over things that never even happened. Because that's the punchline, isn't it? Most of the things people lose their minds over never actually happen. But do they learn? Do they stop the cycle? Oh no, no, no. They double down because deep down they like worrying. It gives them something to do, something to focus on, something to blame when things don't go their way. It's almost funny the way people cling to their own suffering. Oh, they say they hate it, say they wish they could stop worrying, but the truth is they don't want to stop because worry gives them a purpose. It makes them feel like they're in control, like they're somehow participating in the outcome of their own life. Like if they just obsess hard enough, they can make things go their way. And when things don't go their way, oh, they get to say, "See, I knew it. I knew something bad was coming." And suddenly they feel right. And being right, oh, that's more important to them than being happy. But what if, just what if, worrying was the real problem? What if all that stress, all that fear, all that obsessive little thinking was actually blocking the solution? What if instead of fixing anything, it was only making things worse? But people don't want to hear that. They want to believe their worry is useful, that it helps them somehow, that if they just stay vigilant, they can prevent bad things from happening. But life doesn't care about their little rituals, their mental gymnastics, their desperate attempts to control the uncontrollable. Life just moves, with or without them. The real joke is that people already know worry is useless. Oh, they know it eats away at them, keeps them up at night, ruins their peace. But instead of letting go, they feed it. They invite it in, let it sit at the table, let it whisper worst-case scenarios in their ears like some old familiar friend. And why? Because deep down, worry is comfortable. It's familiar. It gives them something to hold on to when everything else feels uncertain. Because what's scarier than worrying? Oh, that's easy. Trusting that maybe, just maybe, things are already being taken care of. That they don't have to figure everything out on their own. That life doesn't actually need their permission to work things out in their favor. But people don't like that idea. It makes them uncomfortable. Because if they're not worrying, then what are they doing? Just living. Oh, now that's terrifying. People have this funny little habit of thinking they have to fix everything themselves. Oh, they believe they have to figure it all out, come up with every little solution, control every moving piece. They twist and turn inside their own heads, mapping out every possible outcome, every potential disaster, every way things could go wrong. And why? Because they don't trust that things might just work themselves out. No, that would be too easy. That would mean letting go. And people, oh, they hate letting go. They hate the unknown. They scramble. They overthink. They try to force solutions that aren't even necessary. It's like watching a fish try to climb a tree. Painful, desperate, and absolutely pointless. But do they stop? Do they step back and let things unfold on their own? Of course not. That would mean accepting that some things are out of their hands. And people, they don't like that. They need to feel in control, even when control is nothing more than a pretty little illusion. And then, oh, this is my favorite part, when all their forcing and pushing doesn't work, when everything still falls apart despite their best efforts, they get angry. They say life isn't fair, that everything is against them, that no matter what they do, things just don't work out. But here's the real kicker. It was never about them in the first place. Some problems aren't meant to be solved by them. Some things aren't theirs to fix. But instead of accepting that, instead of stepping aside and letting things play out, they keep interfering, making things worse. It's like watching someone try to put together a puzzle, but they're forcing the wrong pieces to fit. They shove them, they bend them, they get frustrated when they don't snap into place. But the problem isn't the puzzle. The problem is them. Dot. They're too impatient to see that the right pieces will naturally come together when the time is right. They don't trust the process. They don't believe that things are already shifting in their favor, even when it doesn't look like it. So they fight, they resist, they stress themselves out trying to make things happen, when all they really need to do is step back. But that, oh, that's terrifying. Because what if they stop trying and things still don't work out? What if they let go and everything falls apart? Oh, they can't have that. They'd rather drive themselves mad trying to control everything than face the possibility that maybe, just maybe, things will work better without their interference. And then, when they finally get too tired to fight anymore, when they finally give up out of exhaustion, something strange happens. Suddenly, solutions appear effortlessly. Problems that seemed impossible just resolve themselves. And they sit there, stunned, wondering why it all worked so easily once they stopped trying so hard. But do they learn? No. Because next time when a new problem shows up, they go right back to the same cycle, forcing, stressing, pushing. As if they didn't just witness how everything fell into place when they let go. People don't learn because they love the struggle. They love the drama of it all. The feeling of being needed, of being the one to fix everything. They don't want the easy way. They want to feel like they earned their solutions, like their suffering somehow justifies the outcome. But the real joke, they never had to suffer in the first place. They just chose to. Because believing that things will work out without their constant interference, now that's the hardest thing in the world for them to accept. People always think when things don't go their way, when everything is delayed, when doors slam in their faces, that it must be some kind of punishment. Oh, they love to think that life is out to get them, that the universe must have some kind of twisted grudge. They stomp their feet, shake their fists at the sky, scream, "Why me?" as if they are the main character in some grand tragedy. But what if just what if those delays, those obstacles, those setbacks weren't punishments at all? What if they were something else, something better? Oh, people don't like that idea. They want things now. They want what they want, when they want it, how they want it. No patience, no trust, just that itching little belief that if things aren't happening fast enough, something must be wrong. But here's the thing. What if those delays weren't stopping them? What if they were protecting them? What if the thing they wanted so badly would have destroyed them if they got it too soon? What if that relationship they were crying over, the one that didn't work out, would have made them miserable? What if that job they begged for would have turned their life into a nightmare? But do people think about that? No. They just see no and take it personally. It's almost funny, really, how people will curse the very things that are saving them. They'll cry over the doors that are locked, never realizing what's on the other side could have burned them alive. They don't see that the delay, the setback, the no was the best thing that could have happened to them. Because sometimes life has to hold them back for their own good. Sometimes they're not ready for what they're asking for. Sometimes if they got what they wanted too soon, they wouldn't know what to do with it. They'd mess it up, ruin it, throw it all away because they weren't prepared. But do they trust that? Do they step back and say, maybe this is happening for a reason? Oh, no. That would mean admitting they're not in control. That would mean accepting that maybe, just maybe, they don't know what's best for them. And people, oh, they hate that. They need to believe they know what's best, even when every mistake, every regret, every terrible decision they've ever made proves otherwise. But still, they fight against the delays, against the pauses, against the redirections, instead of just trusting that things are lining up exactly the way they're supposed to. And then, when they finally do get what they wanted, when it finally happens, when everything falls into place at the right time, what do they say? Oh, now I see why I had to wait. Now I see why it didn't work out before. And for a brief moment they understand. They realize that all the delays, all the no's, all the roadblocks were actually leading them somewhere better. But do they remember that lesson? Do they hold on to that trust the next time things don't go their way? Oh, of course not. Because as soon as they want something else and it doesn't happen fast enough, they're right back to their old ways. Stressing, forcing, doubting. It's a cycle they never seem to break. A little game they play with themselves, convincing themselves that this time the delay must mean something is wrong. That this time things really aren't working out, even though every single time before they were proven wrong. But that's the thing about people. They don't learn. They think they do, but they don't. Because when they're in the waiting period, when they're stuck in that in-between, it's hard to believe that something better is coming. It's hard to trust when they can't see the outcome, so they panic, they complain, they doubt. And when things finally work out, oh, they act like they knew it all along. They love to pretend they always had faith, always trusted the process. They just forgot how much they doubted once they got what they wanted, because remembering how much they fought against the delay, how much they resisted the waiting, would mean admitting that they wasted all that time worrying for nothing. And people? Oh, they hate admitting when they've been wrong. People think they're in charge. Oh, they love to believe they're the ones making the moves, calling the shots, setting everything in motion. They wake up every day with their little plans, their tight schedules, their big ideas about how life is supposed to go. Today I'll do this, By next year, I'll be there. In 5 years, I'll have it all. It's adorable, really. The way they think they've got it all figured out. But then, then something happens. A little twist, a tiny shift, a moment where things don't go according to their little blueprint. And suddenly, all that confidence, gone. That perfect plan, ruined. And do you know what happens next? They panic. Oh, the way people lose their minds when things don't go the way they expected is just beautiful. They scramble, they stress, they start looking for someone to blame. Maybe it's bad luck, maybe it's other people, maybe it's just not fair, but the one thing they never stop to consider, maybe, just maybe, things are changing because they're supposed to. Maybe the plan they were holding on to so tightly was never going to work out the way they thought it would. Maybe something better is in the works, but they're too stubborn to see it. Oh, but people, they hate change. They resist it with everything they've got. They get comfortable in their little bubbles, and when something comes along to shake them out of it, they act like it's the end of the world. But what if it's not? What if that disruption, that unexpected turn is actually saving them? What if what they thought they wanted wasn't actually what they needed? People don't like to hear that. They don't like the idea that their perfect little plan might be wrong. They'd rather keep running in circles, forcing something that's not meant for them, than admit that maybe, just maybe, there's a better path unfolding right in front of them. But oh, the irony, the real joke, because eventually they always see it. They always look back and realize that the things they thought were ruining their plans were actually setting them up for something better. That breakup, oh, that led them to the right person. That lost job, oh, that pushed them into a career they actually love. That rejection, oh, that made them stronger, smarter, sharper. But do they see it while it's happening? Of course not, because while they're in it, they're too busy complaining, too busy whining, too busy clinging to something that's already falling apart. They don't see that sometimes life has to push them in a different direction, that sometimes they have to be uncomfortable before they can grow, that sometimes what they think is a setback is really just a setup for something much bigger. But instead of trusting that, instead of rolling with the changes, they fight it, they resist with everything they've got. They act like life is out to punish them instead of realizing it's trying to help them. And here's the funniest part. When they finally get to where they were meant to be, when they finally see why things had to change, what do they say? Oh, I always knew it would work out. Oh, it all makes sense now. But did they know? No. They doubted. They panicked. They fought against the very thing that was leading them to where they were meant to be. And that's the real tragedy, because they could have saved themselves so much stress if they had just let go earlier, if they had just trusted the process instead of fearing it. But people don't like that idea. Oh no, they want control. They want to be the ones making all the moves, deciding all the steps, forcing everything into their version of how life should go. They don't want to believe that something bigger might already have it handled, that maybe, just maybe, things are unfolding exactly the way they're supposed to, whether they understand it or not. People love guarantees. Oh, they crave them. They want to know for sure that things will work out, that if they take a step forward, the ground won't just vanish beneath their feet, that if they put in the effort, they'll get the reward, that if they do everything right, nothing will go wrong. But life? Oh, life doesn't work that way. No, no, no. Life is a game. and not the kind with clear rules and neat little instructions. No safety nets, no guarantees, no refunds, just chaos. And yet, people still cling to the idea that if they just pray hard enough, if they just believe enough, if they just behave enough, they'll get what they want. They think of blessings like a vending machine. Put in the right amount of faith, press the right buttons, and poof! Out comes exactly what they ordered. But that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Sometimes you ask for something and get the opposite dot. Sometimes you pray for clarity and get more confusion. Sometimes you beg for an answer and get silence. And do you know what people do then? They panic. They doubt. They start to think, maybe I wasn't heard, maybe I wasn't good enough, maybe I should have done more. They act like life is some kind of transaction, and if they don't get what they want right away, then something must be wrong. Oh, but the real fun begins when they start getting tested. See, people like to think that when they ask for something, they'll just receive it, nice and easy, wrapped up with a pretty little bow. But more often than not, before they receive, they have to prove they're ready. They want strength? Here's some suffering. They want patience? Here's a long, agonizing wait. They want wisdom? Here's a mistake they'll regret. Because the only way to really grow, to really become who they're meant to be, is through the things they'd rather avoid. But people, they don't want to hear that. No, no, no. They want shortcuts. They want instant results. They want to wake up one morning and suddenly have everything they ever wanted without the pain, without the struggle, without the cost. But that's not how blessings work. That's not how growth works. See, you don't just get a blessing. You have to be prepared for it. You have to be molded into the kind of person who can handle it. Otherwise, you'll just ruin it, waste it, destroy it with your own unprepared hands. And wouldn't that be a shame? So what happens? Oh, this is the best part. People ask for something, but when the preparation begins, when things start to get hard, when they feel like everything is falling apart, they don't recognize it for what it really is. They think it's punishment. They think it's unfair. They think, why is this happening to me? But if they were paying attention, they'd realize it's happening for them. That the very thing they're complaining about is actually building them into the kind of person who can handle what's coming next. But most people, oh, they give up too soon. They get bitter. They get impatient. They think, I've waited long enough. I've suffered enough. Where's my reward? And so instead of sticking it out, instead of letting the process do what it's meant to do, they walk away. Right before the breakthrough. Right before the moment that would have changed everything. And that's the real tragedy. Not that they didn't get what they wanted, but that they could have. If only they had endured a little longer. And oh, when they see someone else receive what they wanted, someone who didn't quit, someone who held on, that's when the envy sets in. That's when they start thinking, why them and not me? But they don't realize that the only difference between them and the person who succeeded is that one of them refused to give up. One of them trusted the process even when it didn't make sense, even when it was painful, even when they felt like they were losing. But most people, oh, they just want to skip the process altogether. They want the reward without the test, the blessing without the struggle, the result without the transformation. But that's not how this game works. That's not how life works, because if you're not ready for what you're asking for, you won't just lose it, you'll ruin it. And that's the biggest joke of all. I'm starting to think people don't really want blessings. No. What they really want is comfort. They want things to stay just as they are, maybe a little better, maybe a little shinier, but familiar. That's the kind of blessings that fit into their world without changing their world. They want the reward without the risk, the prize without the price, the gift without the growth. But that's not how this game works. That's not how blessings work. Because real blessings, they come with a cost. And most people don't even realize it. They pray, they beg, they plead, they demand, and when the blessing finally arrives, that's when things get interesting. Because suddenly, it's too big, too heavy, too much. And instead of being grateful, instead of embracing it with open arms, they start to panic. They second guess it, they sabotage it, they reject it. Because deep down, they know this blessing demands something from them. It requires them to change, to grow, to let go of the things that are too small for the new life they asked for. And people, they don't like that. They want to add to their lives, not transform them. They want the new thing without having to release the old. But blessings, they don't work like that. They aren't just gifts. They're tests. They're opportunities. And the real question isn't whether you get the blessing, it's whether you're ready to handle it. Because blessings aren't just about receiving, they're about responsibility. They come with weight, and if you're not strong enough to carry them, you'll end up crushed under them. But people don't like hearing that. No, no, no. They want to believe that if something is meant for them, it will just fit, that it will feel easy, that they'll just know. But that's not how this works. The truth is, the biggest blessings often come disguised as burdens. They come wrapped in challenges. They show up looking like problems, because if you can't handle the process, you can't handle the promise. And here's the real kicker. Sometimes people get the blessing, and instead of feeling fulfilled, instead of feeling grateful, they feel overwhelmed. They start missing the old life, the one they prayed to escape, because the unknown is scary. Even when it's better, it's unfamiliar. And most people, they'd rather stay in a comfortable prison than step into an uncomfortable freedom. And that's when you see them start to shrink. They start convincing themselves they don't deserve it, that it's too much, that maybe they were better off before. And instead of rising to meet the blessing, instead of growing into the person who can handle it, they run from it. They sabotage it. They lose it. And then they sit there and wonder why things never seem to go their way. But the truth is simple. It's not that they weren't blessed. It's that they weren't ready to keep it.